I'm a massive Bobby Brown fan, especially when
Hmm.
he broke away from New Edition and came out with his "Don't Be Cruel" album, and we were all anticipating his follow-up to that, and you know, we didn't get it. Instead, he gets married to Whitney Houston, and
Right.
there's a lot of talk from a lot of people that says, "Oh, Whitney's career was hindered because she married Bobby Brown." But I am of the opinion that actually it was the opposite. That Bobby
Oh, okay.
marrying Whitney hindered his career because he was one of the biggest R&B people that we had, and he was just about to go to another level. But my opinion is that when he got married to Whitney, he lost a lot of his fan base, and I think Teddy highlighted that in the Bobby movie where he says, "Look, man, you're going to lose your fan base when you get married because when you're single, you still have a lot of the fan base." But it almost his album was delayed another year, and and by the time he was getting ready to release the album, she had just done The Bodyguard, and he became Mrs. Whitney as opposed to Bobby Brown. So as I said, I felt that that's where he was forget all the whole behind the scenes stuff that people bring up, but I just said as a career wise, his career just took a nosedive when he got married because he couldn't come out of the shadows because she had just exploded, took things to another level after 91.
Well, let's be clear. Whitney didn't just explode. Whitney has been successful from her debut single. She's been her first album. Go back and look at those sales, everybody. She's been literally selling 5, 6 million copies from her first album. So she was already at the level that Bobby had just got to. As far as him going to another level, I think he went to the other level with Don't Be Cruel. And that came out in what, 88? Was that 88?
Came out in '88, but remember in
And when did
'89 when he
but
did Ghostbusters, he got paid $1
mhm,
million to do that off on our own, and he got another
right.
$500,000 to just be in a movie. So that just tells you how his star was just rising. I mean, he was that big where people went to see Ghostbusters 2 just because of what Bobby was, and so he was reaching that kind of level. I mean, even though Whitney
Yeah.
was still popular, but he was the biggest person, you know, um, outside of Michael Jackson, and even also more so than Hammer. And so this was where we were waiting for him. Okay, what's coming next?
Between 88 and 89, correct?
Yeah, because 88 and 89. So that, and then
Right.
yeah,
And when did he actually marry Whitney Houston?
he got married in 1990, I believe.
I Are you sure it's 1990?
Um, okay. When do you think it was? I believe it was just he didn't, his album came out in 92, so probably 90, no, maybe it was 90 91.
I'm
Um,
thinking 92.
um,
But uh I don't know. But like I said, we're talking about an album that was released in 1988, and Whitney and Bobby were married in, I believe, 92.
yeah, you're right. They
So
got
that's a 4 year gap. That is not Whitney's fault. When you're hot, you strike. You put out your music, and I think we should maybe hopefully one day we'll get a chance to actually interview Bobby, or maybe he'll put it in that new documentary that he has coming out, why he waited so long to put out another album. Because in this business, if you wait too long, he's not a Michael Jackson. Let's be clear. Michael can
yeah,
stay away 8 years. And let me clear it up. I do like Bobby, guys. I'm not attacking him, but I'm looking at the question posed to me.
yeah,
Did Whitney Houston hinder Bobby's career? Now, there is some truth to, in general, what you said. Whenever an artist is single, they're their most viable, because the audience, especially fans that are delusional enough to believe that one day I can marry him or I can be his wife, those people are a big part of your fan base and
yeah,
keep you kind of going. Like, they think one day that they're going to just bump into Bobby Brown in the grocery store or whatever. whatever artist you want to put in that slot, R. Kelly or whoever. So they want to always see you as single and available. That's a part of your allure and your sex appeal. And this was also an American dream, guys. If you remember, this is why Joe Jackson was so angry at Jermaine.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Jermaine wanted to get married, and he knew once that happened, it's going to change the dynamic of the group because people are going to know, okay, Jermaine's married. And at that time, I think society also was in a different place morally where we knew, okay, if somebody's married, they're off limits. I don't know about today, but there was a period where people actually respected marriage and they didn't feel lust after you're married.
Yeah.
But again, so to that degree, as far as him being the sex symbol and the bad boy and all of that, him getting married, that did change his image, because now you're the sexy, nasty bad boy, this rebellious guy, the the troublemaker guy that is now married in a more domesticated situation. You have a family, a wife, a child. That's going to change. Usher had a change of image when he got married to Tamika Foster. He was no longer that young, fun, hip, commodity for the label. It changed his whole persona and image for his fans. So it does change just in general, that changes your thing. However, I do think there are other flip sides to that, because of Beyonce improved Jay-Z's image. So, but again, like I said, there was a lot of different things that came to that. Do I think she hindered his career? No, I think she boosted his career and boosted his profile. And I kind of believe the former, that he actually, hindered her career. Not hindered her career, but it just was not a good look for her. So
I mean, they weren't a match, but I think for his career wise, because
for him,
he went from being, as I said, the bad boy and this R&B guy, to Mr. Houston, and because she came out when The Bodyguard came out in that 92, became one of the biggest selling albums ever.
That took her to the next level.
Took it to the next level. Yeah, that took it to the next level.
You can't become Mr. Houston if you are the biggest star next to Michael Jackson. It doesn't matter who Michael Jackson marries. He's Michael Jackson. When he married Elvis's daughter, Lisa Marie, he didn't become Mr. Presley. Like, he was Michael Jackson. So if Bobby was on this stratosphere, this big superstar, there's no way in the world people would have been referring to him as Mr. Houston. So again, like I said, I don't know if it's different vantage points or whatever. I lived in America, so I kind of remember that time period. So I don't know that necessarily. I think that it was more so the window. He missed that window. Like, you put out the album in 88, you didn't have a follow-up by 89 or 90.
He had an album that was ready in 1990 called Mystical Magic, and it was he had Tap Into My Heart. This is when and it was coming out the same time when BBD and all the rest were coming out with their stuff. For some reason, that album disappeared, because he performed on MTV Tap Into My Heart. We were like, oh, this is from a new album, and then that whole album disappeared, and then he got married, and then didn't come out until 92.
So then why are you blaming Whitney? If that right there, clearly the album was not up to par. I remember Usher put out an album, or was getting ready to release an album, before he put out 8701. He put out a single called Pop Your Collar, and it flopped. And the whole album got scrapped.
Pop Your Collar,
and then they started over and put out 8701, which was a bigger success on initial impact. When they put out You Remind Me, the album just went crazy. So that may have been the situation, is that Bobby didn't have a follow-up to Don't Be Cruel, which, as we can see, he possibly didn't. And so they had to rework a whole new album with Teddy Riley at the helm. And MCA Records put a lot of money behind the promotion of that album.
Yeah.
So, it may have been a single choices. I mean, in his to be in defense of him, I do believe it was a singles choice that really, the singles choices is what really kind of hindered the album success. But I don't think it was Whitney. I think Whitney, if anything, boosted his boosted his, you know, everybody knowing about him.
Yeah, I think marrying Whitney, what it did is he became known in the mainstream media less as an artist, but more as the husband of Whitney and the
Right.
bad boy. But that was the problem, because then we're not seeing him as the R&B singer, Bobby Brown. They kept calling him the rapper. You know, mainstream media with folk calling him a rapper and a bad
Right.
boy and
That
stuff.
also speaks to the racism that was going on and how Black music is unfairly and it's just the way they categorize our music and what they think of us.
Yeah,
So
and he
he's a
only
rapper
rapped a
now.
few things. He only rapped like two, just in a few tracks, but it wasn't. He was not a rapper. So, yeah, but I mean, it'd be interesting for everyone else to make their decision if they think Bobby Marion Whitney hindered his growth as a recording artist, and he was in her
But I'm
shadows.
still waiting for you to tell me how. How did she hinder?
I just think that he didn't focus on his music the same way. I think there was so much that, and he met her in 19. I think he met her in '89 at the Soul Train. They started to date,
Mm-hmm.
and he just sort of maybe he lost the focus. And as I said, I'm not one of those who want to talk about who introduced who to drugs and how that might have finished. I'm just thinking more so being in her shadow affected his musical creativity, and
Well, well, Bobby didn't write his songs. Somebody brought him songs. All those songs, you go look at the credits. Bobby didn't write those songs. Somebody's bringing him songs in the same fashion that Whitney Houston has somebody bringing her songs. So if he's not writing the songs creatively, how is he being stifled creatively? If you show up to the studio, somebody's written the song for you to sing, and I don't understand how did he get stifled. But like I said, guys, we got to wrap this up, but let us know your thoughts. How do you
Yeah.
feel about the situation? Do you think that Whitney Houston, if Whitney Houston and Bobby didn't get married, that Bobby would have continued on his trajectory of being a huge R&B star? Or do you think that the marriage to Whitney Houston, it boosted his profile around the world internationally and got him in those magazines that didn't know who he was and confused him with being a rapper? Or do you think that Whitney Houston was terrible for him, and who knows? But let's keep it friendly in the comment section,
Yeah.
guys. I want to know
Yeah.
your opinion. Let's keep the drama out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But well, no, let's get messy. Let's get the drama in there. If you got the drama, let's bring it on. I can
Yeah.
handle it. But make sure you like, share, and subscribe while you're doing it, guys. See you
All
next
right.
time.
Take care.
Thanks again for watching, guys.
And before we go, don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button.
Yeah, and also remember to turn on the notification so you can know when we have another show. But thanks again.
That too.